Alright guys, welcome back to another Devil May Cry 5 video. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at Cerberus, dissecting the run that I posted the other night, and then we're going to talk about some of the strategies that Dante can use, as well as some of the stuff that we can do with the other characters. So let's kick things off. With his fire form, the first thing I want to point out is this is the form where you're going to be dealing the majority of your damage, because it's the only form that doesn't have any projectiles and the only one where he actively comes to you. So normally he'll close the distance with a charge move and then start going into his 3-hit combos. It's going to be either 2 high slashes and then a side slash, or 2 side slashes into a high slash. So keep that in mind. I'm using Royal Guard here, not necessarily for the damage, it's more so for the DT bar that it builds and for the high style ranking. And that is of course for the Quad S ability to go in and out of SDT. Now, I'm specifically waiting for the last hit of his third combo, which was right there, to use SDT for the first time. Now he's going to do his combo for the fourth time, and I'm going to try and get the just release there. I missed it, so I used SDT. We got our first stun, and now he's going to be transforming into his electrical form. So I'm going to try and do as much damage as I can, just taking advantage of, the fact that he's not attacking me, using Sin Devil Trigger as much as I can. I stunned him a second time. I stopped him from going into the lightning form, and now we're just going to try and dish out some damage here. I'm trying my best to get real impact there. We got it for the first time, and then we're just going to go right back into Sin Devil Trigger. Now you'll see here where I used Just Release for the first time, and that, I want to point out, that was a pretty decent amount of damage, but it is somewhat negligible compared to the raw damage output of Sin Devil Trigger. So at the end of the day, I mean, if you're not necessarily a big fan of Royal Guard, I'm not a huge fan, although it does feel really damn good to get those parries. The real reason I'm using it is not for the damage output of the Just Releases, it's for the DT build and for the Quad S ability. So we've done the full cycle. We're now back to the fire form. Now I just want to point out he has that supercharge now, and he does get a few new moves now that he's cycled through all his variations, and then he's a little bit low health. They don't come out in this video, but I will point them out after. Right there, I actually should have used the rest of my DT energy. That was a mistake. I should have done a release instead of just a parry there. Against these orbs, I used Dante's charged shotgun. That thing works wonders. And then we're right back in his face with Sin Devil Trigger. We stunned him again, and at this point, I am locked in. I missed the window to go back to my normal form, but it doesn't matter because we have more than enough energy to close out this kill. So with all this being said, let's take a look at some of the other strategies that Dante can use, and then we can talk about some of the other characters as well. Okay, and one more look at that supercharge move when he's in the fire form. Now again, this is something he'll start throwing out when he's on lower life. You'll also notice when he gets lower on life or when he DTs, he starts pushing past the 3-hit combo mark, and he'll also throw in this bite move occasionally as well. Now, when you're using Royal Guard, I use jump parries because the initial jump actually has some invulnerability frames, and it makes the timing incredibly easier. And then these vertical slashes or any of his charge moves, or even the explosion he emits when he's going between forms, that's what you want to be using to just release against. Now if Royal Guard is not your thing, pop Man in the Red and use Devil Sword Dante's charge moves combined with Swordmaster to just go absolutely gorilla. And this is Nero's primary damage output as well. You just get behind his head and start attacking his body. This way you'll be able to completely dodge most of its attacks, and you can start racking up some pretty decent damage. But if you are going to employ this strategy, watch out for this back scratch move that he does here. He'll throw that out occasionally to throw you off, so just keep your eyes open. Now there's also this zoning strategy with Dante. It's really good for staying safe, but oh my god, the damage output is so low. So if you don't just mess up and Cerberus, get killed by Cerberus, there's a good chance you'll likely die of boredom. You can use moves like Cascade or even Mega Cascade, but the problem is that, even if you try and catch him when he's changing forms, or even against the orb attack, the recovery is so low that he can still catch you, as you can see. Another time is when he is changing forms. Mega Cascade can be useful, but even then you can see that I barely escape damage here. So if this was on Hell and Health, for example, pretty scary stuff. One more tip with Dante, Man in the Red is really good for just sidestepping all those purple orbs, closing that distance and getting in. Now, if you can manage to stun with Nero, the Ragtime into Showdown and then a fully charged Buster Arm is a really good nuke, and you just do absolutely massive damage. So if you have those arms and you manage to stun him, just lay on the pain, go nuts. And a couple more character specific tips for Nero. The Punchline Arm is really good for skating in and out of that distance, and a Breakaway will kill and destroy all those purple orbs, which is pretty cool. Helter Skelter has so much invincibility that it can actually go through the explosions when he's changing forms. Finally, when he's in his ice form, try and get close to him, because that way he'll actually revert to melee attacks as opposed to throwing out range moves. Overall for V, use lots of Guillotine with Shadow, destroy these orbs with Griffin. And finally, one more caveat with V's familiars. You'll notice that every time Cerberus changes forms, they end up getting caught in the explosion and dying. So keep them safe. When you're at a distance, you can do the double jump with Griffin or either the slide or back dodge, and that will bring your familiars close to you. And that way you don't have to rely on using Nightmare to revive them every time Cerberus cycles between his two forms. And of course, what kind of guide would this be if we didn't talk about Dr. Faust's Red Hot Knight? So to close things out, I wanted to show you my run from Hell and Hell, how I got the S rank, using this Red Hot Knight loop. You start things off with the Guerrilla strategy, popping Men in the Red and using Devil Sword Dante's charge moves to get some extra damage. And when he changes forms for the first time, that is your cue to unleash hell. You start a barrage of Red Hot Knight meteor drops that does not stop until he's dead. You don't even have to charge it up to level 2 Red Hot Knight. You just keep going with level 1 and it'll essentially start a barrage which he cannot recover from. He's going to be stun locked for the entirety of the fight, and it's an easy S rank strategy. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If so, let me know in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe because it really helps me out. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.